And we are all set up and ready to go. Alright, so we are back in Satisfactory. So last time we were here, we were building this gigantic factory. And if I remember correctly, we'd gotten it basically to the point where there's just like 1 or 2 more layers of processing left. So we have to take the raw resources and convert them into like iron ingots and steel ingots and heavy oil residue and all that stuff. And then this factory will be ready to connect up to power lines and turn on. So let's get started with that. Now this is packaged fuel, so it takes in heavy oil residue into that pipe. We also have steel there and something there. Oh wait, it is labeled. More steel. Got it. So we could... Is this like the far edge of the factory? Yeah, pretty much. So we could go further out this way and build all that stuff on this floor, but I do think it makes more sense to go up another floor just for organization purposes. And it'll also let us gather together the rest of the heavy oil residue and such. So we have some of that over here as well. Alright, so let's head over to near the refinery so we know how tall we have to make it and set up a logistics floor. Alright. Please put the foundation in. There we go. And walls. And up we go. I have to go up by a lot because the refineries are comedically tall. So we jetpack up here, stand on this smokestack thing, and bring a foundation out. Alright, now I think we are going to want a logistics floor here. So let's do that, just because I want to organize some of the things that need to be output. So we're going to drag all this stuff out. And then... So this is the heavy oil residue. At least one of them. So this pipe has to go up to, I don't know, there, let's say. And like that. Alright, so we have our heavy oil residue pipe. Then we need to get the steel. Wait, that's the wrong floor. That's not the logistics floor, that's the next main floor, which we don't want that to go all the way up there just yet. So this is the one which has to expand outwards. And then we get down here, and we just do that again, but on the correct floor this time. So floor hole, and pipe. Alright, so now we just climb up here, and should probably just put a ladder in, but jetpacking around is easier in the short term. So next we have to head over here to the steel and get it up onto this. Alright, so we're down here. The steel can go like up there and probably up there. Does that line up properly? I guess I could just drag it down. And across. Alright. And then we get this one, which also just comes down. And then across to here. And then that connects up. And we have the steel up onto the logistics floor. So now we just have to get these two up there. So this goes out that way somewhat. Now we drop down here, and this is the copper and caterium, right? Oh, we have a belt going there. Yes, copper and caterium. And they are just gonna head directly up. No fancy stuff there. Alright, so that goes up and then comes down. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. You were like 66, right? Yeah, so you can be Mark II. So then you go up there, put the floor hole in, and there, it was. My scroll wheel is like the worst scroll wheel in the history of anything. So it took a while to get it to rotate the way I was rotating it. Alright, so then we go over here and we have water there. So we have a water pipe there, and we have some heavy oil residue over that way. So let's get this water pipe up. And we start with this. So that comes over. And approximately something like that. And we want this water pipe to go up probably roughly centered, just for pipe filling reasons. So I don't know. Doesn't have to be exact, but let's put it somewhere like that. And then put a floor hole up there, and then connect you down. Alright, so that is water. And then we just have to take this even more over this way to grab this stuff. This is the heavy oil residue, the other one. So just pop a floor hole up. Ah, okay, so this is doing that, huh? What if I just rebuild you? There we go. And up you go. Heavy oil residue up, and then finally all the way over here. Actually, I'm not going to have it go all the way over there. Let's just put in a floor hole like there. Bring you down. How much of this is there? 100, so Mark II was correct. And then that just goes across. And it's in. Alright, now we just need to see, make sure we're not missing anything else. Like this. What is this doing all the way over here? Oh, this is the concrete. Alright, and again, I think we're going to try to compact this in a little bit here. We can do more of that when we get to the next floor, but if we just put the floor hole like there. And then just bring that a little bit further in so we don't have quite so much just utterly wasted space. There we go. That is in. Any other things missing? No, I believe that should be everything. And now we just have to label it all, which shouldn't be terribly difficult. Alright, let's get ladders in to make this easier. Ladder down to there. So that is 301, the other one is 480 steel. So let's climb up and put those signs in. So there we go. So this is steel ingots, 480. Then this is steel ingots, 301. I think it's like 0.1 or something. Yes, it is. Alright, so then we go over here. What is this? What are you doing up there? Alright. Anyways, then we have this pipe, which I believe is a heavy oil residue pipe. Yeah, so these are... I don't actually know if these are all 100%. So we have 25, 60, 60. Are all of these going to be 60? I sure hope so. Alright. And just check. Yeah, so these are all 60. Oh, yeah, so I can definitely verify that my notes are correct. This is 625 fuel going into this, which is going to mean it will need a second pipe up. Wait, no, because this is the input pipe. So this is heavy oil residue. Yeah, so the fuel pipes going across, I've already dealt with that bit. So this is going to be half of that. So instead of 625, it'd be 312.5. So let's get up here and mark this display sign. So this is fuel and 312.5. Alright, so then we go to these two, which are the copper and deuterium, and it's 332.379 on that one, and 66.474 there. So let's just copy that and try to bring it up. And then remember the deuterium is 66.474. Alright, so that is in. And then this one also needs a sign, which is deuterium and 66.474. Alright, so those are both up. Then we have this pipe, which is water. They're probably going to need a second pipe, right? Because this is going to be like 625 water, right? Yep. So instead of bringing it up from the center like that, actually what we need to do is we need to take that out, and don't emote. We need a second one of those. And then we need to go over here. So sort of to the edges. Doesn't have to be quite the edges. There. And that gets one. And then we go over here. And that gets another. And so then these two water pipes just have to be 625 water between them. And it doesn't really matter which one gets which, as long as obviously it doesn't go over. So this is water and 625. Alright, so next up, this is the 240 concrete, which has just been going up this entire factory. Like, this was one of the first belts we put in, and it just keeps going. But let's get 240 of that. And then finally we go over here, and we have more heavy oil residue, 213.333. Please. Alright, so let's get a ladder up. I guess I want it to snap to the foundations. So we can go like that. And I've already forgotten. This is 213 or 313? It's 213. Alright, so we go up and we put those last two labels in. Display sign. Heavy oil residue. 213.3 repeating. And then this is 100 quartz crystals. Alright, don't typo. Quartz crystals, 100. Alright, so now we have this logistics floor. We're not going to be doing anything with this immediately. Instead, what we're going to be doing is building the next main floor, which will deal with steel and any other stuff that we have room for. So we're going to go up here. The steel is like approximately there. So may as well make that approximately where this outputs to. And it's just going to be a whole bunch of foundries. Taking iron ingots and coal, and then output to here. Yeah, actually, I don't really know how these are going to need to be lined up yet. So, foundry. Foundry can go in. And like that. And we need a full belt and then another one of 301 something. Alright, I actually have a blueprint for this, right? Blueprint. Solid steel ingots. Alright, so let's just pop that down. And at one point, at least, there was a problem with this blueprint, but it looks like I fixed it. Alright, so we have that, and that is going to create, what is it, 180? Yes, that's 180. Now, let's see, 180 times 3 is 540, so we're going to need a couple of these. 180 times 4 is 720. So we're going to need 5 of those blueprints. And no, not pure iron, solid steel. And set them to auto connect mode. And then we're gonna have to do some stuff with the belts on these because They definitely can't handle all of it onto the single belt like we have here. But this will at least be a good start. Alright, so we expand this out and just push it out a whole long ways. And we have 3 of these, you can tell because each one has a single power pole, and we need 5. Alright, solid steel ingots. And that is number 4. And one more. Just push that around until it lines up, and that's number 5. Okay, now the 5th one obviously isn't going to be full capacity. And we're going to need to refill this with ingots at some point along the line. So let's see here. This is 40, 80, 120. So it's 120. So 4 of these would be 480, right? Inputs. Because each one is 120. So, up till here can all be the same input belt. And then this last bit here will be its own separate thing. And then as far as outputs go, it's going to be a little bit more tricky. So first of all, we have to get these to all produce the right amount. So we have 180 outputs. So 2 of these are 360. Then another 2 individual machines is 480. So we cut that belt off. And now this is the full belt, and then this is the partial. So we get 60 plus 180 is 240, plus another 61.1 repeating. Alright, so we need to take that last machine out, and then these are 61.111 divided by 2 is 30.555. And then obviously that doesn't need to exist. Alright, so that should be everything, and it should all be perfect, right? So this takes in exactly 1 belt to do all of those, and then this is going to take in its own weird custom amount, which will just be brought to it on a separate belt. And let's see if I check the amount of coal we need. Yeah, so the amount of coal we need is 520.74, which adds up to 480 plus 2 of these. Alright, so that all works out, and now we just have to get these belts into these outputs. So, I guess we'll just have it go down like that. So that goes down there. Then we drop down here. And then this goes into there. And then we just need to bring this all the way around over to where the other one is, which let's just get that in. I do somewhat regret having this output all the way over here, but that's fine. Let's take that last little bit out, and you get a floor hole which goes in, and a floor which goes across, and then we get this, which just comes out. And I guess we'll just curve along this way. And then that is steel production done. Alright, so that is that. We've produced all of our steel. The next thing we need is the iron ingots. Right, so we should have, actually, did I miss something? We should have a belt of like 50-ish iron ingots somewhere around here for the reinforced iron plates for the modular frames. Where do I see those? I must have missed them at some point. So I guess we just have to scan around looking for a belt. Oh boy, the autosave boost was big that time around. Alright, I don't immediately see it on this floor, which means I may have missed it even further down. Oh, no, here it is. Very sneaky. Okay. That is fine. So we just bring that over, and it's really only 17. Okay, so that... Let's actually move that label to... No, we can't do that easily. We're going to have to just build this first, and then move the label up with it. Alright, so we grab the label, and we climb. Oh, we failed to grab the label. That's fine. I can just rebuild it at the top. 17.777 repeating. Display sign. And in there. And it is 17.777 iron ingots. So, the next thing we need to do is make the iron ingots. We need to make apparently 538.51. So that is the 480 that goes into this, plus the, let's see, 20.37 times 2 plus 480 plus 17.777 is 538.517. So that is approximately correct. Now, what we're going to need to do is figure out how to split off some of it to the steel and some of it to there. And I think the answer to that might just be to have custom production lines for each. Unless we could probably get 17.777 relatively easily from a belt. But yeah, I think custom production lines will be easier. So let's go back here especially since it is exclusively raw resources to make the iron ingots. So let's grab some space. And I don't know if I'm going to need to use all of this, but concrete is not really a limiting factor. Now I do have a blueprint for pure iron, right? Yes, but it's weird numbers. I guess that's fine. I can work with weird numbers. Don't do weird stuff. Just place in normally. Thank you. Alright, actually I want to start this all the way over that way, just so that we don't end up doing weird stuff with spacing. I'm going to start over here and then expand to the left. So blueprints, pure iron ingots. And it goes in there. Now this is another one that I've set up to... Yeah, so I haven't quite automatically gotten the... what's it called in the speed belt, but this is still mostly automated. So what we need to do is we need to have, this is 111, so we need like 4 of these would give us 440. So 5 would give 550, which is just about more than we need. So let's just do that. 2. And then the last one will have to be very slightly underclocked. 3. And 4. And one more. 5. Alright, so this is going to be outputting 550, so we're going to need to upgrade the output belt. Also going to need to make sure that none of this stuff auto-connected that I didn't want to. It looks... oh, yes. It definitely did something funky there with that. Yeah, no. You go away. Now, ironically, we do actually at some point want to connect this pipe up, probably indirectly, to that one, because they're both water pipes. But for now, that is not what we want. Alright, so now we get the tricky part, which is working out and lining all this up. So first, this is going to need to be a Mark IV belt all the way down. There's no question about that. And then we're going to need to figure out where exactly it goes above 480 a minute so that we can chop it off there. And I might have built this too close. Probably will be fine. So that's 111. That's 220 some. That's 330 some. That's 440. So this one makes it 490. Alright, so what we have to do is we take that out. We take that merger out. Okay, so we need to merge, we need to mess with that a little bit. So this has to be, this has to get a splitter. And I think it needs to be a smart splitter. If it doesn't, then that's fine. Then we need a priority merger there. So this outputs and it's go left any, right overflow, and then this merger is priority left. So this will output all that's necessary to get this belt up to 480, but no more. And then the rest will go over there, and then do this stuff. Alright, so hopefully that is correct, and then we just need to figure out the numbers for these last two to get all of this functional. So, actually, I think I want these last two to be just completely distinct. Just take that out, and so this... Okay, wait, this is going to be a little bit confusing. So this is the easy one. It's 55.714, and it's only going to one location, and it's that. So we can just set that to however much this needs, which is 20.37 times 2. 40.74. $40.74. Oh, I typed it in. 40.74 there. So then this just goes, and it just goes directly over into that. And the belt there is a bit too fast and also weird in a number of ways, but that's fine. Then we have to take 40.74 plus 480 is 520. Yeah, so we need 17.777 above the 480 going into this, which means we need to do some math. Also, why is that a Mark 2 belt or whatever? That could be Mark 1. Alright, so this is... How many of these are there? There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Alright, I'm counting 8, which makes sense. 55.714 times 8 is 445.712. So in order to get up to 480, we need an additional 35-ish. 480 minus 445.712. So yeah, we need an additional 34.228. And then we have to add 17.777. So the last one needs to be 52.065. 52.065. And then this can just go out, and all the extra stuff that doesn't make this a full belt will be 17.777. So now we just have to get that down a level, right, to the other iron. So that goes down a level. We get down here, and let's just fill that in as a bit of ground since there is a lift above it. And the iron is somewhat annoyingly all the way over here. So we're going to have to do a bit of a journey. across like most of the rest of this stuff. Hopefully that will be fine. Alright, so this goes along. And a little bit further. And I set this up wrong somehow. Why is that? Oh, because this is the wrong side of this lift. It's supposed to be this one, which goes up to there. Or not. Or yes, apparently. And then we might want to move that around so that that doesn't clip with the lift. Alright, so you just do something like that, and then down. Alright, so that is in. Now we climb up. Oh, no, apparently it didn't work. Also, ow. Alright, so that definitely snaps in there. And then we're gonna put a ladder in so that we can get up without having to do all that messy jetpacking. Up we go. And then that goes out. That is going to have to be adjusted a little bit. And it just goes in there. Alright, so that is iron completely sorted out. And so then we just need to put water into these pipes and a whole bunch of iron ore across all of these, which shouldn't be too bad, except for this last bit, which again we're just gonna manifold that across to make it easier for us. Not have to do all sorts of fancy splitter nonsense when we don't need to. Alright, iron ore, check. Coal. So, the next thing we need to do is... Yeah, I mean, I guess just getting the coal in there is going to go in the same batch as connecting all the rest of the ores up. So we don't need to do anything there yet. The next step will be... Which one of these things? Yeah, let's just keep working from these ones that have been sort of buried. So, Caterium and copper. And why is that set to fuel? That's not fuel, that's heavy oil residue. We've already dealt with the fuel by this point. Alright, so the next one will be the copper and Caterium, so we need 332.379 copper going onto that belt. And do I have a pure copper blueprint? I don't, so we're just gonna do it live. So first, we should actually put in the belt for this, simply because we don't want to accidentally build over it, you know? We need to make sure that we're leaving the space for this stuff. So these smart splitters all go in. And then they all get a Mark 1 belt. And it's what, 289 iron ore, so it is Mark 4 for the main line, but only barely. Alright, so this all goes in, and we just drag it all across, and done. Alright, so next we can put in the copper ore processing, which is going to be basically the same thing as that, but set up differently. So, we need refineries. And they can just go in somewhere like that. And pure copper is 37.5, so we're going to need 332 divided by 37.5 is we're going to need 9 of these, which is a nice convenient number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And so then these are obviously just all going to merge up. And then go over this way. So all of these go across. Gosh, we are so close. The anticipation is building like crazy to be done with this. Like, we are putting in basic ore processing. So very close, and yet there's still a lot of work to do. Alright, so those are all lined up. Now we put the belts from the machines in, like that. These all go across. And then we just need to get that down to there somewhere, which I guess we're just gonna drop these down here and then work that out on the logistics floor where that sort of stuff is done. So we get that in. Then we come down here. And where is it? There it is. Alright, so that can go there. And then we just sort of sneak around this way. And over to there. Alright, so the belt just runs along. And then goes into, what, this one? Yes, this one. Alright, so that is in, and then this is 332.379, and divide by 9 for the machines. Alright, so now we're over here. 332.379 divided by 9 is 36.931. So yeah, that's pretty much exactly right. So now we just paste all of these across. And we just keep going. And one more. Alright, so these are all set up. And that is a whole lot of copper. So then next, again, we want to put in the input side of things over here, which in this case is just going to be a 1-to-9 splitter. No need for speed balancing here. Your headphones are broke. That is unfortunate because I am sort of too busy to spend time typing in chat. Also, scammers always say that, probably because they're chat GPT that can only read text. Alright, so then these go across. And then one more. And like that. Alright. So then we just need this to go in. And how much is 3 of these? Like 45. So these can still also be Mark 1 belts. Like that. And then we want to leave a little bit of space for that to come out. And then we also need to put the water pipes in. This whole setup is going to use a ridiculous amount of water. I don't know that I'm fully ready for it. I think I might have set up the water tower already. I'm not 100% sure though, to be honest. It's been quite a few streams since I started this. And if I did that, it would have been right at the beginning. So it's kind of just impossible to say. So these all go in. And that one is somewhat unfortunate, but that's fine. It'll just noodle across anyways. And then we get the rest of these. I hope these horizontal junctions are fine, actually. Yeah, they're fine. Alright, so all this goes in. And then that one has to be a little bit funky, but there we go. Water pipe, done. And so then that is the copper ore input, which I guess I will just run a quick belt out of just to show that it's there, although I don't know if that's where that belt is actually going to be going yet. Alright, so next up we have Caterium, which is 66.4 something. And hopefully that'll only be like 1 or 2 machines. I don't actually know. I feel like the Caterium production machines are all hilariously slow. So let's pop a refinery in. And you can make pure Caterium. And yeah, this is 12 per minute. Alright, so 66.474 divided by 12 is 5.5395. So I need 6 of these. And also that's facing the wrong way. Hello, please face the other way. Thank you. So we need 1 of these. And let's just get the settings all right. So 66.474 divided by 6 is 11 something. 1, 2, 3. Oh, this is probably too close. No, it should be fine. 4, 5, 6. I don't think I would normally build like these this close together, but it won't break anything. So we just have to put the mergers in, and sure enough, there is space for the copper belt in there. And so now we just bring all of these out, make sure they're set properly, which they are. And then all of these can be Mark 1 bells. The last one has to be Mark 2, because it's 66 instead of 60. Alright, then I guess this can just floor hole down there. And that goes in. Then we pop down here. And this goes. This has to go along this way. So we are going to have to do some three-dimensional belting. So up you go over that. You're going to stay up. So we have another belt for you to go over. So you stay up there. And now you drop back down and go in there. Alright, that is another one of those done. So what do we have left? We have heavy oil residue, and we have water. Obviously, that's going to take ages to line up. And we've done the iron ingots. We have concrete. And we have more heavy oil residue. And we have quartz crystals. So we have heavy oil residue, concrete, quartz crystals, and then connecting all the water lines up. So we are practically done. So let's do concrete next, which, let's see, we do need to make sure that we leave everything with a way out, but the concrete belt is right there. So let's just put in, pretty sure this is not going to be that many refineries, right? This is pretty quick. Refinery. And wet concrete. So this is 80. So we just need 3 of these. Alright, that's easy. 2, 3. Cyan, hello. We are building this gigantic factory, and we are almost done. So we've been working backwards, like from the final product to the starting results, and we are currently putting together like the basic resource processing. So we are very, very nearly done. So that all connects up. And then this can go down. Alright, so that comes down to this hole, which goes there, and then just loops around into there. That is concrete done. Alright, so then we obviously need to deal with the inputs for that, and come to think of it, the inputs for the Caterium, which we haven't done yet. So let's do that. It should be pretty easy. There are 6 of these, so we just get a splitter there, and a splitter there. Where are these lined up on? It's not quite perfectly aligned. That's fine, though. We can just get that. Oh, I placed this sideways. That's not going to work. Alright, so if it's supposed to be like that and like that, I think. Yes. So then that splits across those 3. And this splits across. Oh, this is also sideways. Of course it is. Alright, so that goes in there. And those two are still not lined up properly. So just put that one back a tiny bit. And now these all... How did that happen? Getting it lined up to the one directly in front of it is supposed to be the easy part. Alright, that is perfectly lined up. So now this just goes like that. And then we get another splitter, which does that and that. And then we have our Caterium belt there. Then we need to do the water pipe for this. So this can just go up to there and then across here. That's like one off of that, so we place that there. And a little bit further like that. Alright, and now we just connect all of these up to the water. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Alright, then all of the pipelines go in. Alright, and that is water attached up to that. Obviously, once we do the whole water connection, which is going to be a whole process. So then finally, we have this concrete over here, which... get some foundations in. And this is just trivial 1 to 3. So that goes there. And I think it's like 120 each, right? Yeah, 120 each. Those are all Mark II belts. And that's a Mark IV belt of limestone. And then we get the pipeline, which goes across there. And where does it line up? Like that. Alright, now we just realized that we made the last one. We made it not quite long enough, but that's fine. The powers of twisting pipes, it will all work. And then we just attach those up. And that's another one of those done. Alright. Concrete, check. Next up, I guess we'll do quartz crystals. Where's the quartz crystals? Over here. Yeah, here they are. Alright, so the quartz crystals are there. And we just need to get some space here. We need like 100 of them. How much is that going to be? So let's just get, I don't know, 2 of those in maybe. And pure quartz crystals, yeah, it's going to be exactly 2 of them, underclocked ever so slightly. Copy, paste. And then the belts go in. Oh, that actually requires a fair amount per minute. So let's make those Mark IIs. And then we put in the water pipe for this. So I could be using less efficient recipes to not have to do all of this water pipes related stuff, but This is just miles more efficient at the cost of basically nothing, because water is free. So we just do that. And that's quartz crystals. So we just need to merge them up. And then send them down to wherever they are, which is just over this way. So we get a lift. Make sure it's Mark 2 so that it's fast enough. We get down here. And bring that lift down. That lift across. And those are all Mark 2, right? Yes. So that is the quartz crystals. So, unless I'm mistaken, we just have heavy oil residue, water, and more heavy oil residue. So we need to get how much? That's 312.5 there. Then we go over here, and that's 213.3. So yeah, the 525.833 number I have in my notes is exactly correct. So we just go over here, and this is probably going to take up a considerable amount of space, unfortunately. So, refineries. And heavy oil residue. So this is 40 each, and we need 525. So we're going to need 14 of these. Alright, that's a lot, and is also a somewhat annoying number. We're going to round up to 16, just so that... Actually, it's all fluid, so that actually doesn't matter. We'll just go with 14. 1, 2, 3, 4. So yeah, when you're dealing with solids, you're typically going to want to go up to 16 instead of 14, because 16 is infinitely easier to load balance than 14. But when you're dealing with liquids like this, it doesn't really matter. Load balancing isn't a thing with liquids. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, I should set the ratios right. So this is 525.833 divided by 14. Yep, and as expected, that works out to be approximately correct. So we just paste that across. We have 4 of them. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and that's just... We're not going to need all that extra space, but it doesn't really hurt anything to put it in, so I'm going to. And we were at 11, right? 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, yes. So we just go 12, 13, 14. And that is all of that set up. And then the polymer resin, we're just going to sink. Maybe in the future we'll deal with using up all of the byproducts of all of our factories for something. But for now, it's just going to go into a sink. So if I were being very precise, I could use that polymer resin to make some of the plastic and rubber that this factory needs, but that's a bit too much work for me, to be honest. Like, getting all of that sorted out is a little bit of extra work, which I don't feel the need to do. Because the problem is that doing that reduces the amount of plastic and rubber that you need to produce otherwise, which reduces the amount of heavy oil residue that you need to make the plastic and rubber, which, yeah, it's like a whole looping mess, basically, which, if I were using like a calculator, which would be pretty simple, it would just tell me what the ultimate answer was. But I'm not using an automatic factory calculator. I am doing it all like manually, so it's too much work to figure that out. So we just do it the old-fashioned way. Alright, so this all goes along and just keeps going. There we go. Alright, so that is all the polymer resin connected up. And now we just have to put a sink in. Alright. Special, awesome sink. Boom. And then we have to grab the heavy oil residue, which we actually care about. And let's just put it out on that line so that it's all perfectly aligned and easy to get correct. And then looks like you also need to expand that foundation a little ways across. And we then just keep going. So this comes along here. And a little bit further. Bam, heavy oil residue pipe. So now we just have to connect all of these up, and then where's that line there? Then we'll be practically done, I think. But we still have to connect power up to everything, which is going to be a bit of a nightmare. There's so many machines, but fortunately it shouldn't be like that much work. It's just, it won't require any real thinking. It's just, you know, clicking on a whole bunch of machines over and over again. Times like this where you wish you had used blueprints with power poles built in already rather than having to power up every machine manually. Alright, so that is all set up. And now we just have to take this pipe down to the two places where heavy oil residue gets used. So one of them is just right down here. So let's just fill that in. Put in a floor hole like there, I guess. Pop you down it. Then we go across, and that is the heavy oil residue pipe, right? Yes, it is. Cool. So then, the other one is like all the way over there somewhere. So we just are gonna pop that pipe in there and go down here. And now this goes across. And it's gonna have to go over that belt. And then twist around into that. Alright, heavy oil residue should be attached. So that just takes from crude oil. And what else is that everything? So yeah, so that's the water, which we're gonna have to deal with. That's gonna be a whole process. Then all of this is done. All of that stuff is done. I think we might just be at the phase where you have to hook the raw resources up to everything. So let's get started on that. And we have them all down here. It's going to take some time and effort to bring them all up. All right. How do we want to do this? Do we want to just make this organized? Yeah, so let's get all of these raw resource belts in the same area and then label them all. So this is Caterium, and I want to go over this way because that's where the train stations are. Alright, so that is going that way, and we're going to label this as... Don't need to worry about labeling the numbers because we're not producing anything here. So this is just Caterium. Alright, then we go over here. This is concrete. So I'm going to bring this over there as well. It's going to be so nice to have everything all neat and organized and ready to go. Alright, so then this is going to come over here. And we're just going to get a sign, which is just concrete. And then we have this one. This is the copper, right? Just check a machine to be sure. Yes, this is copper. Well, I should probably set those to be the ores, not the finished product, just because that could be a potential cause for confusion. Alright, so this belt is going to have to go up and over that. And then down here. And then we label it as copper ore. And yeah, so let's call this limestone. And this one Caterium ore. Alright, and there should be like 5 or 6 of these different types of things. So then we go over here, and this is raw quartz. So how fast is this actually? It's going to be 130, so it has to be a Mark III belt, just barely. Bit of a shame. I like using Mark II belts when possible. Alright, so then this comes over here. And we set this to quartz. Alright, so that is that. Then we go over here. And this is the crude oil pipe, which we actually need to put in. How much crude oil are we using? 397. That's fine. So this can actually, it can go all the way out to there, just for easy lineup. And then we drag this all the way across. And like that. Alright, now we put the junctions in. Alright, so these junctions all go in. And just hop across doing this everywhere. Right, just keep going. Sure are a lot of these. Alright, then we get that one. And now these all go across. So all these pipelines go in. And almost there. Alright. So that's that. So this is one gigantic crude oil pipe. And we just have to bring this over to meet up with the rest of the inputs. So we grab that. It can, I guess, go around the sink. You know, that's a bit weird. And then we need... no, not that. We need foundation going along like this. Just fill in this whole area. And now this pipe can go over this way. And a little bit further. Yep, then it can turn there. And then line up there. And it is set as crude oil. Alright. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we need, what, iron, coal, and water left. Alright, so we go back here. And this is, I believe, the iron. I'm in the wrong hotbar. Alright, so then this comes around. And around there, and then we're gonna have to slope up over that, and then continue being sloped up until you get over here. And then, okay, don't drop down that early. What did I just do? Did I just downgrade the belt? Yes, I did. Alright. Upgrade the belt again. Bring it across. And then down. And you are iron ore. Alright, so then we just need coal, and then we need to figure out how many water pipes we need. The answer is going to be a lot. We also need more than a full belt of coal, which is going to be mildly less convenient. Oh, I just realized I never hooked the main bit of this iron up. I hooked all the weird little fiddly bits, but not the main one. Alright, so this goes over this way, continues over this way, and then a little bit further, and then it goes into there. Alright, so that is that connected up. So now we just have to take the coal, which this belt definitely doesn't need to be Mark 4. Make that Mark 1. And then bring it over this way. And keep on going. And just keep on going. And then we bring the other coal belt along as well. Now these two belts go over this way. And they keep on going. Just a little bit further. And then down there. And then this is coal. And then we have to go find the other one and send it over as well. It's like 40 coal or something. Yeah, 40.74 coal on this belt, according to my notes. So this comes across, and it's going to stay up until like the very last moment. Or it descends here, and is also coal. Alright. So, is that everything but water? We have coal, we have copper, we have iron, we have limestone, we have deuterium, quartz, crude oil. Yes. Alright, so now it's time to figure out the water situation, which I never even calculated. It isn't in my notes. So this is the deuterium, and it's 22 water times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 22 times 6 is 132 there. More like 133 probably. Then this is another 300 water. So that's 433. And then we have the copper, which is going to be another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times 10, so 90. So let's just keep that noted. So currently up to 523 water. Next we have the quartz crystals, which is going to add another 70. So that is getting alarmingly close to 600. And then we add the iron ingots, which are 16. Actually, are these all 16? No, most of these are 17. Times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's going to be like another 170. And then, of course, there's the 625 downstairs. So that is going to be 3 pipes of water, give or take. Okay. That's a lot of water. It is a lot of water. So let's, I guess, how do we even want to connect all these up? So that is a water input, and that's a water input. So we can just pop those two lines together. Then this is another water input. So we can pop that in as well. Then that is all heavy oil residue output. We don't want to mess with that. Now this is another water input. So let's combine those two together. And this is going to be an absolute nightmare to set up. Alright, so then this is another water input. Just like this. So this can go over there and all get connected up. So I think now those are all connected together. And then we have these two down here, which are going to need to also connect up to those. Alright, let's take one of these as like nearly 600 and the other one as mostly empty. So, the one that's nearly 600, we're just going to bring along to the input side. The one that is mostly empty, we are going to bring up there. And, of course, it's doing that wrong. Let's try to rebuild it, see if that works. Of course it doesn't. Floor holes are somewhat buggy. Sometimes it, for some reason, tries to connect it from the wrong side. Alright, so that then goes along there. Then we need to connect all of these together in 3 pipes. So we have this one, which I guess we can have those pipes be over here. So we have a floor hole. We have that go up over the other one. And then this one goes up into it. So that is one of our 3 main pipes, which goes just directly down to that. Then we have the other one of our 3 main pipes, which, let's actually just put that in like that. So the other one of our 3 main pipes is going to go into there. And then the last one, we want to connect at sort of a distant point, just so that the 2 pipes can meet in the middle without conflicting too much. So I think we just have that be this. And it can go underneath itself, I guess. And then this pipe can just go along over here, over that way, and then into there. Alright, so we have our 3 water pipes, which probably will work. So then the next thing we need to do is we need to set up for our 2 pipe-based things, the water and the heavy oil residue. We need to set up a fluid tower system, which means all of these get connected together, first of all. And then we have a fluid buffer here, which outputs to there. And then we need a packager, which feeds into the fluid buffer. In this case, unpackaged water. And that's not going to be enough. Alright, but regardless of that, so we're gonna have to feed packaged water into those, and we're gonna have to set up a similar thing here. So this goes forwards a little bit. Get a pipeline junction and a fluid buffer which feeds into it, and a packager which feeds into it. And this is set to unpackage crude oil. So then that will hopefully work. Although, actually, can we fit the valve onto here at all? Yes, so then we get the valve there, set down to 0. And you get a valve there, which is set down to 0. Now, I think this will work. Previously, whenever I've done this, I've had the valve down near the bottom. So we might have to change that. But for now, that should be functional. So now we just have to bring all of these up. So let's drop down. Let's bring a ladder with us as we go, because it's going to be super annoying to get back otherwise. So we drop down a ladder. And then we go over here, and we drop down a ladder. And then we go over here, and we drop down a ladder. And then this looks like the bottom floor. So directly beneath this is the train floor. So let's drop down one last ladder here. And here we are. Alright, so we already have this, which doesn't go high enough up. And then we have, what, 3 pipes of water? Alright, so that should be good. That should be enough water. Alright, so we have probably enough water here. It looks like this is 3 whole pipes of it. Assuming that it's actually working, which it doesn't seem to be. But that's fine, we'll deal with that later. So the next thing we need to do is we need to bring all of this water all the way up there. So we go up this wall, and we just drag it up. And bring the ladder up with us as we go, of course, that's critical. So up we go. And we have a lot of height to gain. Sort of makes me wish we had done this in a different way, so we didn't have to do this, but it'll be fine. So this ladder goes all the way up here. And now we are at the correct level. So now we need to bring the wall. So let's drop down here, grab the wall, and up we go. And then we're going to have to bring the pipes. And then we're going to have to get all the belts up as well. This is the last step of the factory, but it is not a small one. It is in fact quite a sizable step. So these keep on going up. And keep on going up. Alright, so now this is high enough up. now what we need to do is we need to get over here and actually bring the foundation over. Hello, what's up? We are in the process of building an absolutely gargantuan factory in Satisfactory. We are almost done. We just need to connect the raw resources in, which is a bit of a process. Alright, so now we have this. Uh-oh, why did these not line up? I'm sure that's nothing to worry about. Might have somehow gotten nudged slightly off the proper grid. Yeah, I call this stream world mega scale for a reason. We are not building small here. Alright, so the pipes come up to here. And then this last one, please work. Please line up properly. Alright, there we go. And we just keep on dragging these gargantuan pipes all the way up. And this last one goes in like that. And now we have to get around the pipes as we climb, which is a bit annoying. Do you have robots yet? I really, really wish that there were robots in Satisfactory. We have dimensional storage, which is close enough, but it would be nice to have gigantic mega blueprints like in Factorio. So dimensional storage, basically I have a box somewhere. So see, I have these 600 iron plates. Now if I grab them out, you'll see this starts to refill. So in my iron plate factory, there's a box that is draining into the dimensional storage and automatically refilling it. So basically, it's like your logistics drones manually refilling your inventory, basically. It just means you don't ever have to go back to grab stuff. Alright, so then these pipes just continue to go up. And then this one goes there. And we keep going. We should almost be up there with these pipes. Yeah, so now this can just curve out onto this. And I didn't want to connect those two up. They need to be separate, at least for now. Alright, so like that. And now we are around here. So now the pipes can come out onto this foundation. And then this one, I guess, is going to have to go around this way. Alright, so those then combine into over there. So we just have to bring these all the way over to there. And there. And there. Alright, then we just have to get across this bit. Apparently the pipe segments are just barely not long enough to manage. So let's just put that in. And that goes there. And then this comes up there. Alright, now we just... There are trucks, yes. I personally find the trucks to be a little bit annoying, but I did have an entire world, the previous one before this, which relied very heavily on trucks. Yeah, there are trains, there are technically drones, but they're very different than Factorio robots. They're basically like flying trucks, and they're very convenient. Alright, so that is all of that set up. Next up, we need to do the crude oil. So let's get over here and drop down. And jetpack at the last minute. Alright, which one is this? Is this the crude oil? Yes, it is. Alright, so we need to bring just one pipe of this up. And it is gonna have to... Actually, I don't want it to go that way. I think I need to bring it up on the other side of that wall. So let's bring this up over here. And then up there. And get as much of that from the ground as we can, because it's going to be a little bit annoying to do once we're on the ladder. Alright, so now we just climb our ladder up. And we're going to need to... We need to set up the water tower trick for both of these things. But that shouldn't be too much of an issue, I think. But I'm not 100% certain we'll finish. Like, we're very close. But we only have an hour and 15 minutes before I have to end the stream. All of this is for adaptive control units, which are basically... They're basically science pack adjacent, in that you need to make a bunch of them in order to unlock the next tier of technology. And I am, of course, producing them with dramatic overkill. I need, you can see actually in the top right corner, I need 100 of them total to unlock the next phase. And I'm building a factory which can make 10 a minute, which is completely excessive and unnecessary. But that's the fun part. Alright, so now we're up here. We need to get this pipe. So actually what we need to do is we need to put a floor hole in for it to go through. So that all goes in. And we get a floor hole. And then we have to do all this while flying, which is not the easiest thing in the world. And then jetpack up to here. Alright, so we have that. Now we just have to hook this up to the pipe over here. And I switched hotbars. So I was clicking the wrong thing. Alright, so then this pipe comes all the way over here. And into there. Alright. So next up, we need to get a whole lot of packaged water and packaged oil. can you show the base? This is basic. So I don't really have a single like centralized base, and that's something that's very different in Satisfactory compared to Factorio, is you tend to build these individual like distinct factories. So all of this is for the adaptive control units. Each sort of similar-ish looking thing over there is for a different thing, and then there are also a couple down near the ground before I got all the way up here into the sky. I do have that rather nice looking building over there, which is very difficult to see from a distance, but I did actually decorate. Decorating something this massive would take ages, so I haven't really done that. Alright, so we need to get down to the train level and then package some crude oil. So we need a packager, and we need a pipeline junction to go into there. You are set to packaged oil. Then we need to find the power line. There it is. Power you on. And feed you some empty canisters. Alright, so that'll be good at least for a start. And then do we have... Did the water ever make it up to this level? No, it didn't. So we're going to have to do something similar with the water as well. And what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to take this. Alright, yeah, no problem. Hopefully see you next time. We'll be streaming Factorio tomorrow. So make sure to stop by then. Alright, as for this, we have this packaged oil, which is all packaging away. And basically I'm going to be using that to set up a fluid tower, which will basically cheat the headlift system and let us get the oil all the way up there without having to place a whole bunch of pumps. And we're going to have to do the same thing with water, of course. Alright. So packaged oil is going along. And packaged water. So we're actually unpackaging water here, I guess. Alright, so we have to go up all the way to the top. Or wait, what do we need to do next? No, we need to get our packaged oil. And we also we might need more packaged water. We have like 2.5 stacks. Hopefully that's enough. But basically what we're doing here is we need to get enough to trick the system into thinking that the headlift goes way higher than it does. Now I guess we can get that unpackaging process started up at the top. So let's climb on up. And better vertical transportation would definitely be something that would be nice to have in this game, because there really isn't much better than just climbing a ladder or setting up a very fancy hypertube cannon that gets used like once a month. I guess I could set up a hypertube cannon, although it's probably too late at this point in the building of this factory for that to even be worth it. Like, we've basically built the entire thing at this point. Alright, so now we're up here. Oh, we need to bring power up here in order for this headlift trick to work. These packagers need to actually run. So let's get that then. We're going to need power up here anyways at some point when we turn the factory on. Alright, so this power line just comes over here, and we're just going to bring this down on the back side of this wall. swap to parachute. That's going to be easier to manage going down at a controlled rate than the jetpack. Alright, so this just goes down. And goes down quite a lot in a single step, apparently. So that's helpful. And then we bring it down all the way. Let's upgrade that. And swap to the jetpack again. And we power that on. Alright, so that should be doing stuff now. Let's grab more packaged oil and fill more canisters in. Okay, is that working? Probably not. Yeah, so this is definitely 0% flow rate at the moment. So it might just be that the valve has to be at the bottom, as opposed to up at the top where I put it. Which would be a little bit annoying. But we'll see. It could also be just that this... We might need to like flicker the valve on and off briefly, for example. I think that's something that I did once that worked. And then we're just going to have to see if the head lift goes all the way up. And also, this might not be enough water pipes. Like, this might actually only be 2 pipes that are actually producing stuff. We'll have to see, because I did the water pipes from surface level up to here a long time ago. Alright, these are... Yeah, we need to set both of those running. And then that goes into this fluid buffer, which is just going to fill up with junk. And that goes into that fluid buffer, which is just going to fill up. Alright. Now let's do the magic trick. Set that up a little bit so that these can get a little bit of crude oil, and then set it back down. And we do the same thing over here. Set that up a little bit so that a little bit of crude oil can go through and calculate the head lift on the system, and then turn it back down. Alright, hopefully that will magically do it. Although I'm frankly not optimistic. I think it might need to be the pipe goes all the way down. Let's just drop down here and see. So this crude oil is flowing at 0 per minute. Yep, as expected. Alright, so what we need to do is we need to get 2 more pipes up there. This water pipe and this crude oil pipe, although actually this isn't working either. So we're not even getting water up to here, much less all the way up to the very top. And so that's a bit confusing. But I guess we're just going to... Let's see. Let's start with... I think we're going to have to drop all the way down to ground level, unfortunately. We're going to have to check what's going on down here. So we do have water, like, suspiciously high up in these pipes. So that is good to know. Actually, I wonder if nudging the head lift valve down here will do anything. So we're down here in the Swamp of Death. And pipes seem to be doing whatever it is that pipes do. They're all yellow, though. Alright, so let's just nudge that. Just to make sure that that flow rate headlift stuff is all working. And then we're going to have to bring more pipes up to the very top. Now this water is flowing a little bit. Actually, it's flowing a lot. It's flowing a suspiciously high amount. Although these other ones aren't flowing at all. So why was that flowing at 600 just briefly? I don't know. It's hard to say, but it might have even just simply worked. Alright, let's bring the ladder up on this side of the wall just so we don't have to worry about all of those pipes in our way. So up we go on a gigantic ladder of destiny. So we just keep on building this ladder all the way up. Until we make it to something interesting. Which our factory is hilariously high up off the ground, and then the top of the factory is ridiculously tall past that. So this journey is going to take quite some time. I think if I have to do this one more time, I'm setting up a hypertube cannon. And I actually might just set up a hypertube cannon to get to the top of the factory anyways. So we're going to go up. And we keep on going up. And we keep on going up. Okay, then we have this other ladder, which I guess we can jump over to. And climb up the rest of the way. Alright, so where does the water actually stop in these pipes? It doesn't get to there. It doesn't even get to there. I'm not crazy, right? There is definitely water unnaturally high in these pipes. Yeah, it's here. Oh, is that... I wonder if that's... because there's water in that one that goes up to that point. I don't know. We'll have to... Actually, we don't have... Yeah, we're going to have to go down there again to grab some packaged water. And then we're going to hypertube cannon our way back up. And hopefully we build one that's long enough. Alright, so this is our packaged water production setup. So we just feed you some empty canisters. And I think we make you a dimensional depot just temporarily. Actually, no, that's not the one that output. Right, we already made that one a dimensional depot. Cool. So, we just need to fill this up with even more empty canisters. And and then it will package them and make packaged water, which we can use. Alright, so we're packaging up a whole bunch of water now. And let's fill this up even a little bit more. Just these last 50. Alright, so that is all set up. So now this is producing packaged water, and it should give us a good solid several hundred of it. Now let's hypertube cannon our way back up. So we get over here, and we're going to lay out a foundation for this. And that's not the most efficient way of placing a foundation, but it's fine. And now we have a blueprint for this already, right? Hypertube cannon, yes. Alright, so we pop this down. And what we're going to need to do is take that last setup there and replace it with one that just goes straight up. Alright, so we just have that. And now all of this connects along, and hopefully this is enough to at least be close. Also, I'm going to need to get rid of that guy. Do not need poison pillars. Alright, yeah, that is pretty good. So that's going to take us all the way... I mean, almost all the way up, right? Like, that's pretty good. And then we're just going to parachute over to here. And how do we ladder up here? I just want to rebuild a second. Oh, we must have built a second ladder on the bottom half of this. All right, so really we just need to add in like another 2 or 3 entrances, and then we can go all the way from the ground all the way up to the top, nice and quick. All right, so now we are up here. Alright, so we get over here, and you can make more packaged water. So there you go. And then we have a non-zero amount of packaged oil there as well. Alright, so now we have to drop back down to ground level to get this going again. Grab that. Alright, so we need to bring 2 more pipes up, which is going to be this one. There, and then another version, a split off of this one here. Alright, so those are going to go up. And let's see, it's going to be easier to just ladder up here for this. we need to go up alongside it. And it might be ladder plus parachute, or ladder plus, maybe ladder plus jetpack will work. Alright, so we send that up as far as it'll go. Then we need to send up this ladder as far as it will go. Just do something like that. And then we've fallen all the way back down to the ground. I think parachute is the play here. So we swap over to parachute. And now we can send these pipes all the way up. And continue on climbing. So we climb up here and keep on expanding the ladder up. And then we also need to keep expanding the wall. Up you go. And that should be at least most of the way. Then these pipes go up. And we keep going up with it. Alright, up we go. And just keep laddering up. We're going to need this ladder at some point. Alright, now these pipes can go up there. That should be most of the rest of the way. And then they can do that and be just underneath the foundation for the top level. Alright, so now we just climb the rest of the way up. I still don't understand why that doesn't line up properly, but it's probably fine. Alright, now we're up here. And we have these two pipes, one of which is oil and one of which is water. We must make sure they don't mix. Alright, swap to that hotbar. Pop in our two floor holes. And then send both of those up. Alright, now we just have to get these over and then figure out which one is which. So these have to go over those, I guess. Maybe under them? Alright, that would work if it weren't an invalid pipe shape. How about auto? Alright, that's fine. That looks like it goes fully under. Alright. So this pipe is water. This one is oil. So I think what has to happen is, I'm trying to remember exactly how this works, but okay. So let's take the water pipe over and connect it into the fluid buffer. So this can go over this way. And across all of that, and then we take that all out, And that goes in like that. Now we need to make sure that that keeps producing water. And this keeps producing oil. And let's see here. Yeah, that looks like it's connected up properly. So that is going to output all of the water. And then this is going to have to get over here and do the same thing, but with oil. So let's bring this over. And then dismantle that connection and make that connection instead. Alright, now we have to drop down to here. And this is where this valve goes. And it gets set to 0. Alright, did that work? No, seemingly not. Although actually, looks like there might be some oil in that pipe. Yeah, this is flowing. Definitely. Now this bit isn't because it's running right up into that valve. So let's keep on making packaged oil, because we're probably going to need a lot more. But the oil is going up at least a little bit. Alright, now let's get another hypertube cannon. Where are you? There you are. Alright, so that goes in. The last bit comes out. And we have to replace it. To noodle mode, I guess. And then point it directly up. And where's the power pole? There's one. So now this should work. Up we go. Oh, we hit our head. That's actually fine. This prevents us from going way too high up. Alright. And I think we just need to keep these guys going. And eventually they'll work. I'm not 100% confident, but I think it is making some progress in getting the stuff up the giant tower of death. And the only way to tell is to just keep filling it up and see what happens. So if we just grab a little bit more water, throw you in there. And we don't have any more oil to toss in. You have to clear out the canisters to keep that going, though. Alright, so that is all good. Now the other thing that needs to be done here is we need to bring the belts of all the physical stuff up, which we can also do while we hopefully wait for this to start working. Now let's drop down here and see, are any of these higher up ones. Yes, they are indeed starting to fill with oil. Alright, so that is a fantastic sign that everything is working as intended. So then the next thing we need is we need some lifts to go from these over to there. Now, do we have space like immediately here? Yes, we do. We actually, I think we deliberately set aside this area for that purpose. Alright, so crude oil we're dealing with. Limestone. So we need to bring limestone up. We need one belt of that. So let's just nice and simple merge all of this up onto a belt. And that one. And then we get all of these. I'm surprised I didn't do this part yet. Feels like this is something that I normally do immediately. Just setting all of these up. Alright, so these all go like that. And then this can just go up. Alright, so that is limestone up there. Then next we have the quartz, which is also just going to be one belt, I believe. So we do the same thing. We merge up all of these because we can't be 100% sure which train car exactly is going to be in need. Which train car exactly is going to be the one providing it. If theoretically this was like all super taxed and there's just barely enough to fill everything, it might be, for example, that the first two cars don't show up with enough resources, but the third car does. And then we need to make sure that we have all the cars outputting to make sure that whichever one it is, it works properly. Alright, so we have all this quartz. And it is going to go up there as well. Alright, next up is the Caterium. Same story here. Just a single belt. Right, 132 Caterium is what I have marked, which is well under the amount that a full belt can transport. So we shouldn't have any problems with that. Alright, so we just hook all of these up. And don't do that. That would be weird. Alright, so there we go. Then this goes up. And back down. Alright, copper. Did I forget coal? Oh, I forgot coal. Okay, well that's a bit of an obstacle there. The thing that I need the most of, and I just forgot to bring it in. Well, that's something we'll deal with later. As far as copper goes, yeah, so let's just try to get everything but the coal all set up here first. Worry about the coal later. The fluids are the main thing. And we're probably going to have to spend an entire stream bug fixing this thing anyways. It's complicated. So it's a bit awkward, like being 99% done when the stream ends. But such is life. Alright, so that goes in. And up we go. And then next, second last, is the iron, which is also going to be 1 belt. Yeah, and the coal is actually the complicated one because it's the one that needs 2 belts. So it's kind of annoying that we don't have the ability to start doing it yet. Alright, so these belts all go across and then line up for this. And then this goes up. Okay, we need to bring this over a little bit so that there is a floor for it to go up into. Apparently up that way too. Not sure how that happened. I would have thought that this whole thing would be relatively flat. Alright, yeah, it definitely does go in like that right here at the very end. Alright, well, we have all of those here. So then the next step is going to be getting them up, but before then I do want to continue working on these. So let's hop down here, grab more packaged oil, throw that in, and hypertube cannon our way up and see. I mean, either it's already made it up to the top and there won't be a problem. Okay. Yeah, we had some weird deflection there. Look at that. There is a tiny amount of crude oil in this pipe, which, frankly, it's a bit mysterious. You'd expect there to be more, or none at all. But I guess I'm not going to complain. So if we just fill those up even more, then hopefully these will get enough head lift and be good to go. Hopefully. Or maybe that stuff just got like trapped in there from some previous thing. I'm definitely not seeing any water in here, which does make some sense as the water has a lot further to go. Alright, this doesn't seem to be working. So let's just make sure that this is configured to 0. Is this flowing? It is flowing. It is registering it as flowing at a good couple hundred. And then obviously sometimes it's going to drop down to 0 because it does that. So then there's this, which might be the source of that flow, or it might be unrelated. Now this is not going to be flowing at all. This is apparently flowing some. So I think we might have cracked the code. And the answer is that either it's working right now, or we just need to throw more water in the top. So let's grab that packaged oil. And up we go. That's so satisfying. It is incredibly satisfying just being able to do that. Alright, do I have any more packaged water? Because I think that's further away from being done. Alright, and then we can do that. And hopefully this is making progress. towards filling this whole system up. There are ways I could have done this that would have been better. Like, I probably should have just run a line of pumps up to the top. It wouldn't have been so bad, it would have been temporary anyways. But this is what we have. Alright, so this is going. That is going. Now we just need to wait for the rest of these pipes to figure themselves out. So one of these pipes, this one. Oh yeah, look at that. This pipe definitely has some crude oil in it, which I don't understand quite how. I guess it must just be a leftover from when I briefly had these two connected. Weird. Yeah, I definitely don't understand what's going on here. But I think it looks like, you know, on either side it looks like something is happening. And this crude oil has gone all the way up to there. That's most of the way up. So I think the solution is we just need to shovel more crude oil at the problem until eventually it gets solved. And we're going to need to do the same for the packaged water down at the bottom. We're just going to need to package up more of it until it can all get going properly. So let's drop down. Jetpack at the last minute. And now we get over here. Alright, so this can take a massive amount of empty canisters. And you can be double speed belts. It's not going to hurt anything for things to work ever so slightly faster. Alright, now let's put even more canisters into there. Because we're going to need a lot of packaged water in order for all of this to get anywhere anytime soon, because we have a lot of height to gain. But it should be working. Alright, so now we pop into here. And up we go. Let's bump our head on the tracks real quick, because I don't want to go too far past. And then we go over here. This crude oil is mostly stopped at that point. You can grab that and keep going up. Alright, we don't have to take the annoying slow ladder. We have a hypertube cannon now. Up we go. And here we are. And time to get these two packagers working again. So first of all, we grab 93 packaged water goes in there. 76 packaged oil goes in there. And I think we're just going to have to keep doing this for a little bit. I mean, the packaged oil might be at the point where it's good to go. It's tough to say for certain, but, like, it was very close already, and I just put another 76 in, so it might make it all the way up. We'll have to see, but if we pop down here, then both of those pipes are looking like they're doing pretty well. Alright, let's get on the ladder and see if we can reach this. So that only needs like another 7 for that pipe segment to be full. I put like 70 in. So maybe it might need one more stack, but it probably won't need like more than much more than that. So you get some empty canisters. You get to make even more. And I think we're just gonna probably wind up the stream here. We have to bring the resource belts up, but we're not gonna be able to do that and power up all of these like 100 machines and do any meaningful amount of bug testing in the next 20 minutes. So I think this is just about a good spot to stop for now. Just going to pop those in and see if this all gets working. But yeah, so I think we're going to wind up here, leave some stuff to do next stream. So tomorrow I'm going to be playing Factorio, where we are right on the brink of figuring out our fancy modular train setup. And then once that is done, we're going to be just building a giant factory using it. And then on Wednesday, we'll be back to Satisfactory, where there's absolutely no world in which we don't finish this factory on Wednesday. Like, it is so close to being done, and we should have plenty of time to bug fix, make sure everything's working as well. And then that will be that, and it'll be on to the next phase. So yeah, if you're interested in factory building stuff, I do a whole bunch of stuff. I stream every weekday from 2 to 5 Eastern Time, so make sure to follow if you haven't already, so that you can catch me when I go live. And yeah, that is about that. Thanks everyone for hanging out, and I will see you guys then.